All right, so I want to take a look at the documentation for the this keyword. However, before we do that, I just want to make a quick or point out something that I forgot to mention in the last video. You'll notice that when we define methods on a class, we get to omit the function keyword. And that's partly because that's the convention of the class, but also it's just implicit that this is going to be a function that we added on there. So we don't have to explicitly add that function keyword. So you can simply define them like this. Now, if we go to the documentation and look up, let's Google this.mdn. Got this here. So if we look at the first thing here, so a function's this keyword behaves a little bit differently in JavaScript compared to other languages. This isn't very useful. Also not useful. Description. So in the global execution context outside of any function, this refers to the global object, whether in strict mode or not. So we actually have, surprisingly, access to the this keyword outside of our class. So let's actually start there. So let's log out this. So if I just log out the word this, what is it? So based on this description here, what do we think this is going to be equal to? Our classes here. So this is actually equal to the window. And we learned about the window at the beginning of JavaScript 2. And the window is that massive, massive object that's got all of these crazy methods on it. Although the one that we most often use is document. So this.document. Or is it document? I think it's like this. This.document. So if we log that out again, what do we get? Well, we get that document. And we are all familiar with document dot, oh, it is lowercase. Let's try this. Document. There we go. Yes. So we're familiar with the document. We know this here. Document has all the elements in it, and we could even go this dot document dot. Let's move this out here. So we'll do const body equals document dot query selector, and then we can do body. Select body. So this is a bit unnecessary, but essentially what I'm showing here is that this, when we just write it outside the scope of any function or any object or any class, it represents the window. So it's the highest context that we can get when we're dealing with our code inside the browser. Now, we don't care about this right now. And generally, you're never going to use this in a global context. At least it's not something I've ever done or had a need to do. But it becomes a lot more important inside the context of a class. What if we do this? So let's, instead of liking a comment, let's just return this. Let's see what this is. Now try and guess what you think it's going to be. So, body is not defined. Yeah, we don't want to console log body anymore. We're actually not going to log anything. We're going to do comment dot like comment, which is now going to console dot log this inside the class. So if we look at what this is, what do we get? Well, now we actually get back the whole comment object that was created. And what exists on it? Well, we get the comment, we get the timestamp that we created, and we also get the username that we passed in. So inside the context of the class itself, this represents the class. So if this represents the class, what do we have access to? Well, we're going to have access to all of the variables that we define inside the constructor, as well as any methods that we define inside the class. So what kind of methods do we have here? Well, we've got like comment method, we've got a get comment method. What are some other useful methods that we could add on here? Maybe we wanted a function to modify the comment. So we can call edit comment, create a new method for that. And what are we going to need to do? Well, we can accept arguments in our methods here. So we can accept a new comment. And all I'm going to do is set this dot comment equal to the new comment. Ideally, you'd have access to the old comment, but I mean, this is more or less the functionality of updating. So we can also modify all of these variables or that we create in the constructor. So let's go ahead and give that a try. So we're creating a comment down here. This was a great YouTube video. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this right now, and then I'm going to do comment.edit comment. I'm going to call that with this YouTube video actually sucks. So that's a classic YouTube comment. And now we'll do comment.get comment, and this is going to log it out for us. Or no, it's just going to return it. So now we need to log this out. All right, and let's take a look. So we can actually modify the values inside. And I'm hoping you can start to see how this becomes useful. Now that we've got this particular comment here, we can make sure that we're only ever concerned with modifying this instance of the comment. And obviously a site like YouTube is going to have trillions of comments. So being able to create a reusable chunk of code that we can use everywhere we might have a comment is incredibly helpful. And you can imagine how this might be built into the UI. So maybe let's try and build some UI for creating a comment. So we'll do button, do text area. Oh, that's a lot of stuff. Name, comment, and we'll do button, submit, comment. All right, so let's go down here. We'll do, let's see what we got in the HTML now. I'm getting a bit off the rails. This is kind of an idea that just came to my head, so it might not come together. All right, so we've got our comment box, and we can submit a comment. So here's what I would do. So I'll do we'll do const submit equals document dot query selector, and then we'll grab that button, and we'll do button dot add event submit dot add event listener click. So what do we want to do on click? Well, we want to grab the text from the text area, and we want to create a comment from it. So we'll do const text area equals document dot query selector text area. I'm actually going to remove this outside of the event listener definition, so we don't have to worry about that. So we'll do, what do we want to do? We want to grab the value from the text area. So const comment equals text area dot value. I think that's how you access value. Let's actually see if we can just log out the value here. I'm going off the rails right now. This is a bit bonkers. I'm going to comment this out for a second. I'm going to comment this out and comment this out. We've got a comment out there. Okay, so let's make sure we can actually log the text from the text area. Oops, down a smidge. Okay, so this was written in text area. So comment. Okay, perfect. So that's how we did. Okay, so now we can grab our comment. What do we want to do? Well, I'm actually going to modify our class slightly. So you have the facility of setting what's called a default value. And this is true for functions, but you can all in the constructor. So you can set the default value on the parameter of a function, and the constructor is just a function. So I think I'm going to do that for our timestamp parameter. because you can see down here, I just passed a new date, which is going to give me a timestamp at the current date when this constructor was made. So generally, I don't want to pass in a timestamp every time. I'm just going to have this create it for me automatically. However, by allowing me to pass this in as a parameter, actually, let's not set a default value. We can do this. Forget this argument altogether, because I always want the timestamp to be the current created time. So just because it's not passed in as a parameter doesn't mean you can't create the variable in a constructor. So this is totally valid as well. So now we don't have to worry about someone modifying the created date of the comment. But let's go back here. So what do we want to do? We want to create a new comment now that we've got our comment text. So we'll do const, call this content. Const comment equals a new comment, which is, where do we want to do it? Content. Actually, let's do this so that we can assign it outside the variable. There's not going to be, this is going to be super clean. We'll do let comment. We'll do we want to put it in here? Yeah, let's define it outside and we'll reassign it. So comment equals new comment, and we need to pass in our content in our username, which I'm just going to hard code here, which is going to be Braden. All right, so now let's go ahead and I think I'm going to do this a little bit differently. We're actually going to instantiate the comment out here. So const comment equals this, equals new comment, except we're going to instantiate it with no comment. We're going to instantiate it with an empty string. And what I can do here now is once we get the comment, I'm going to call this. So I'm going to do comment.edit comment. And I'm going to call it with the, yeah, maybe we should keep that in the variable for just to make it more clear. So then we can do this, edit comment with the new content. And then what I can do here is I can do const, we'll just throw a div. I love a good h3. h3 equals document.create element h3. We'll do h3.inner HTML equals comment. Ooh, this isn't going to work. No, we need to create a render function. So we're going to define this up here. So we're going to create our h3 and we're going to create a new function called function. Well, we could actually add this as a method on the comment. So let's do this. Let's create a function called render comment. And then that's just going to define this up here. So let's say render comment is equal to h3.inner HTML equals this.comment. Cool. So now what we can do is now we can edit the comment and then we can do comment.render. So now everything we need, this is a bit, obviously this, you're not going to do this in a real app because you're not just going to want to create one h3 for each comment, but hopefully this illustrates how the encapsulation works. So I've got a function in here to edit the comment and then I can render it out again once the button is clicked here. So, and you can see it also reads in quite a declarative nature, meaning that it reads exactly as it does. So what are we doing here? We're grabbing the comment, we're editing the comment, and then we're taking the comment, and then we're rendering it out. Let's go ahead and take a look at what we can do here now. So now if I say Braden was here, submit comment. Ooh, comment.render is not a function. Yes, it is. Oh, because I call it render comment. Call it render. Okay, Braden was here. Submit comment. Well, that doesn't help that I've named it the same as up here. Braden loves hack your feature. Submit comment. Why isn't this working? Oh, why is this not working? It's because I got to append it. Document dot query selector body, and then body dot. I should have just defined this in the HTML. But here we are. All right, this should definitely work. So let's see. Hack your future is great. Submit comment. Cool. So now we get the comment there. Let's try again. Future. YouTube, YouTube, YouTube. Submit comment again. It updates. So we already know how to do this with everything we know up until now. We know how to write functions, objects. We know how to use all the query selector stuff. However, you can see, the document is even built in a similar way. It's got methods on it. It's got encapsulated data. And it just it gives us an easy way to organize our code. Classes are created with the class keyword. We can pass values into a class using the constructor. And that's where we can pass in the parameters here. We set variables using the this keyword and defining the name where we want to store the data. And we can define methods within the class to access that data, as well as modify it and expose it outside of the class.